WWE Raw on Netflix is here, and it is an absolutely stacked show. They're basically treating this whole thing like it's a mini PLE. So we're gonna go through predictions for this whole episode. They don't normally do predictions for Raw, but there's so much announced ahead of time, and I think there's so much that has consequence for how things could shape up for the Royal Rumble, maybe even into WrestleMania. But first of all, have you seen WWE on Netflix yet? January 1st, it finally came alive. So if you go on Netflix and you can actually see that they've got a ton of the back catalog. It looks like WWE is doing a combination of things here when it comes to their product and everything on Netflix, where they will have select content showing up on Netflix every single month, and they're basically going to cycle stuff. So you're going to find other pay-per-views in there. Even right now, as I went through it, all WrestleManias are there, which is really, really cool. They have a ton of different ones like Judgment Day and Best of Raws, and even just highlights and episodes of Monday Night Raw from the Attitude Era. And they've categorized everything. So like Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression. I went back and watched Money in the Bank 2011 for Cena and Punk, which was great. So for me, it's kind of nice being able to see a lot of this stuff come back that was on the WWE network. I'm in Canada, so we haven't really had the network in a while, but they have that. And then they also have the WWE Vault, which is on YouTube. And I think that they're using that as like their major back catalog. So you get like just crazy stuff that's like really deep into the catalog, old WCW episodes, ECW and stuff, and just matches you don't really see very often. So what are your thoughts on Raw on Netflix? And drop your predictions below. But also guys, if you can help me out, because I look at our YouTube stats and I can see that about 78% of you are not subscribed to the channel, but you do end up coming by and watch a video or two. So if you like the content here a little bit, help me out. It helps us grow a ton. We're trying to get to 50,000 subs this year. It will mean a lot if you just click that little button right there. Let's get into the Raw predictions. The first thing I think we get for Raw is going to be the giant video package. This is going to be big. I think I see comments too and just talk and chatter online. Some people are like, well, it's not gonna be that good. It's not gonna be a big deal. Oh, the people are, you dummy, you're overhyping things. And I go, no, you know what? Let's have some fun. Because I think WWE is making it a big deal. And I think for the first episode, or at least the first few, they're going to want to make them massive. And it's going to be in a stadium. Like, it's going to be a big show. It's going to feel like a pay-per-view. I think that you're going to get a giant video package to kick things off. I do think, whether you like it or not, I think Triple H will come out. I think he will say, welcome to Raw on Netflix. He's the guy. He's their guy. They have appointed him. They have knighted him as Sir Triple H. Hunter Hearst Helmsley does that thing. And they're going to talk about how excited they are for Raw on Netflix. And then they're going to kick it off. What do they kick it off with, though, is the question. I believe now that it is confirmed that Seth and Punk are going to main event. Do you open the show with Roman and Solo? Do you do John Cena to kick it off? They need something big. Like, do you go with a match or do you go with a promo? I kind of feel like you need a match, but yeah, we'll see. Because the opening match could be this one. Jey Uso versus Drew McIntyre was announced for Raw on Netflix, and I think that this is going to be a banger. And again, this is on Netflix. Is it going to be a 2-hour show, a 3-hour show, a 4-hour show? They can do whatever they want. It's probably going to fall in the realm of 3 hours, or just they finish when they want to finish, which is kind of nice because they're not going to be just tied to regular TV. So I think that Jey versus Drew is going to be solid. This story of Drew McIntyre, I have really liked that he is going around and he's attacking all the bloodline. We just saw him show up on SmackDown and he's flirting with Cody a little bit, which I really like. And he's kind of teasing an alliance with Kevin Owens, which I'm a big fan of. You can get just 2-man power trip over there. This is probably going to be a solid back and forth. Yes, I think Drew should come out ahead and win. Jey Uso is not averse to eating losses here and there. So I think that you do have the big opener, and you know what, that might be it, because Jey entrance is so long and they love doing it. It takes like 10 minutes, but the crowd loves it. It gets everyone hyped up. I think Jey Uso opens Raw in the first match against Drew. I think that they go back and forth a ton, but Drew McIntyre wins this thing so he can move forward in his story, in his quest to destroy the bloodline. Where is Drew going with all of this? I really think that it is going to possibly, again, depending on The Rock, because if he shows up at any point now to Mania, it's a domino effect of these matches. But one of the matches I think they could be penciling in is Drew versus Roman Reigns one-on-one at WrestleMania. If they do things correctly, they could go in that direction. They could also do Drew versus Cody and do that for the title. If they just keep building Drew up, and the way you do that is you got to give him these big wins across the board. Maybe Jimmy's gonna show up. I know he's got the busted foot, but he could try to interfere in this match to help out Jay. And then you could do something like down the road where it's gonna be Kevin Owens, Drew versus the Usos, and that could be a lot of fun. They go after those guys and try to take out everybody. But anyways, Drew wins, and then he's just gonna move on, dominate more Bloodline. Okay, then we have Logan Paul. Logan Paul is returning. You know what's funny is I did a video the other day just talking about like 2025 predictions and like who's gonna do stuff and what's gonna happen. And one of the things I said was like, oh, Logan Paul, he just doesn't, he's gonna finish with WWE this year. People are like, oh, you fool, you dumb f***. What's your problem with Logan Paul? Fine, I just don't like Logan Paul that much. And that's okay. You guys got favorites, and you got people you don't like either. It's okay. But Logan Paul is signed to Monday Night Raw now. He showed up at that press conference for Raw, and now we're gonna find out what the heck he's going to do. Now, I don't think we need a 10-15 minute Logan Paul promo on this episode. Could Logan Paul wrestle? Maybe, but they didn't announce it, and they want to announce these things. I think I'm thinking about him and John Cena, because John Cena, we'll talk about in a minute, it's got the whole farewell tour thing, all that. Logan Paul coming out, I think, is probably in line with a promo, but maybe he is going to interrupt somebody to set up maybe a match at the Royal Rumble, or he very well just could come out and just say, I'm entering the Rumble, and that's that. But I feel like that's kind of a waste. You want to utilize Logan Paul if you're going to bring him in and do an episode of Raw. So he's gonna have some interaction, I feel like, with somebody. Now, here's one early prediction for this. I know that on the live event tours and all of that, it seems like CM Punk has been having like dark matches or live event matches with Ludwig Kaiser and Gunther, mostly Gunther, which is leading everyone to think, oh, it's gonna be Punk and Gunther at the Rumble. And it could be, you never know. I figure Punk would be in the Rumble, but if he's not, he might get a world title match against Gunther. But the other direction I could see with Gunther, because he's kind of doing a whole lot of nothing right now, I could see them doing Logan Paul versus Gunther at the Royal Rumble. If you're gonna have Punk in the Rumble and potentially win it, then Logan Paul could come out on Raw and say, you know what, I'm going after Gunther, or he interrupts Gunther and just forces his way into a title match. Now, we may groan at this, we may say that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Very well could be. But here's the thing, is that Logan Paul, he just kind of goes into these matches, doesn't he? He just shows up and then he's like, I want title. I want US title. I want a match against Roman, Rhea, just everybody, and I want it all. So he's gonna want that world title. And I thought at that conference he said, I'm gonna be the next world champion. So he might go after Gunther. Gunther versus Logan Paul in the match itself could be awesome. See, not a Logan Paul fan, but I can appreciate the guy's work in the ring, and I think that they would tell a really good story. You get those big Gunther chops to Logan Paul, and I'd be satisfied. But again, I'm thinking big. This needs to be big feel, big kind of WrestleMania almost feel for this whole show. Then I think that you need to do something with Logan Paul. He could also interrupt John Cena in John Cena's whole thing and tease those two guys having a match, either match at WrestleMania, or they're just planting seeds, because WWE likes to do that now, where you just got guys interacting and doing that. So you could have Logan Paul interrupt John Cena and say that like, hey, maybe we should go toe to toe. Which brings me to the next preview, John Cena's farewell tour. I don't think John has a match on Raw, maybe has an impromptu thing. Maybe he's gonna do an attitude adjustment on somebody, but I think it's going to be a lot of focus around John Cena and this entire year that he's about to kick off. So when John comes out, I think it'll be emotional. He's gonna do his big speech. He's gonna get everybody pumped up. He might just tease a few things of what he's gonna do. I think that John Cena will announce that he is going to be entering into the Royal Rumble, because he's going to be going to his last Elimination Chamber. He's gonna go to his last WrestleMania. Maybe you get somebody to interrupt him just to have kind of just a moment of attitude. Ludwig Kaiser interrupts him, and then the attitude adjustment there, and boom, off you go. But I think John could tease a lot of different stuff in his promo, not just give us a standard one, because he's already done the one at Money in the Bank where he announced the retirement. So we know it's happening, but now it's about, okay, let's get the ball rolling. What's his motivation? What are his goals for the final year of his career? Is he gonna talk about going after the world title and breaking the record? I think he should. It's all over online, and that's what most people are talking about when it comes to Cena. So I think that you do wanna see him address that a little bit. Talk about the Rumble, talk about Mania, maybe some opponents he wants to face. Next up, they've got Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley in a last women's standing match for the Women's World Heavyweight Championship. This one, I just think that Rhea needs to win. Like, what about you? For me, Rhea just needs to win this thing. Just stop it.
Hey, stop it!
Just stop this feud. I'm over it. It's nothing against them. I think Liv had a wonderful 2024. Liv Morgan's character from Judgment Day and the whole like flirting and taking Dom away, her whole story arc has been better. Her character evolution has been way better than what they've done in the past, where like she was getting beat up by Ronda Rousey and she liked pain and then she would just smile when she got submitted. It just it was all kind of whatever. But now they found, like, I feel like she's really found her character and her voice. And her character's been very good. And the stuff with Judgment Day and Rhea and the Terror Twins early on, it was all good stuff. It's just petered out for me. Like, it's just, I have no more interest in this. I feel like if Rhea didn't get injured the couple of times that it happened, I think this feud may have already ended. But because there have been a few injuries, I think they've had to prolong this thing. Maybe they feel like the blow off is this episode of Raw and be done with it. If Rhea wins, and I assume she will, because why not? Other than you're going to have a wonky finish and all of Judgment Day is going to stop them, which it's Triple H's booking. There's a good chance that you're going to get everyone from Judgment Day involved to help Liv. It's a last woman standing match. But then you bring out Damian Priest and he's going to help out Rhea to even the odds. We've seen Damian Priest like just take out all of Judgment Day before, so it's not new. But if you are going to conclude this story, or at least this chapter of it, I think during that match, if you do have Judgment Day involved, then you get a Riptide to Dom Mysterio, so you can give the fans that. And then you get Liv Morgan just eating a Riptide from the top rope or something, or goes through a table, and that's the end. Rhea Ripley wins, holds the world title. Now, when they go to the post-match, because I feel like this feud needs to end and they need to just move on to something new. So if Rhea wins, then she's not in the Royal Rumble, obviously, and it's very clear that she would be going to WrestleMania as the champion. What they could do is you then have Rhea win, and then you really surprise the crowd with either Charlotte or Becky showing up and pointing at Rhea Ripley or getting in her face. That doesn't mean that necessarily that they're going to get the title match, but they're back and they're going into the Royal Rumble, and they're obviously going to tease that. And then you spend a couple of weeks, you're going to tease things for the Rumble. I know a lot of people are like, I don't want Becky. We've already done Becky versus Rhea. We've already done Charlotte versus Rhea, but you know what? They're giant names. Otherwise, I do see Charlotte staying on SmackDown and dealing with all of Tiffany Stratton and that stuff for WrestleMania. Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa is up next. Tribal Combat. No bloodline ringside other than Paul Heyman. So on SmackDown, Solo and Paul Heyman got in the ring together. And then Solo's like, you hold Ulafala while I beat up Roman Reigns. And then you're going to put it on me if I win and you're my wise man forever. So they've added a little bit more stipulation on top of all of this. So it's just a cluster of a match. So you got no bloodline, which I think they will interfere at some point. Ulafala's on the line. Paul Heyman's on the line. What do you do with this? I think a lot of this hinges on The Rock, if I'm going to be honest. People are going to be looking for the big surprises, the big moments. Now, do you surprise everybody with Solo beating Roman Reigns? No. I do think that Roman will win, and he will win the Ulafala, because I think this chapter between Solo and Roman needs to come to an end. And also, for this whole build to this episode and like this match, they haven't had any promos together. They've just been doing, like, Roman's not been on TV. He's just in his car, like Kevin Owens. Like, he's just out in the parking lot just being like, hey, I'm gonna beat you. So we haven't had that really good moment between Solo and Roman face to face, going off in a promo against each other for like 10 minutes. And I think that is something that has been missing for this whole feud as they're leading up to this match. I know we have half a year of all the matches and everything going on between Solo and Roman and the bloodlines, but for this moment of capturing the Ulafala, I think it could have used Roman Reigns on TV in the ring, staring at the Ulafala and talking about why it just is so important. Like, try to just bring it up a notch, or they do a sit down like you did with Punk and Roman, and you have Paul Heyman in the middle, and you have Solo and you have Roman, and they do the face-to-face, they do the cinematic thing. They could have used that. So a couple of scenarios when it comes to this match. I think Roman Reigns wins. He beats Solo, Superman punch, spear, double spear, super spear, whatever it is. He's gonna win. It's tribal combat rules. So it's usually the tribal combat, though, in the bloodline matches, it comes down to ref bumps. I think Roman wins, finally gets that moment he can put the Ulafala on. He stands with Paul Heyman. Everyone's happy. Then you could have The Rock's music hit. Final boss comes out. Roman's wearing the Ulafala, and The Rock comes out with People's Championship, and they go face to face. And that can end that segment. And then everyone goes, ooh, because we're gonna get Rock and Roman at WrestleMania. That could be it. If we don't get that, we don't get Final Boss, I don't know what they do. They could do Drew McIntyre coming in. So I could then say Roman still wins, beats Solo, And then after, Drew McIntyre comes in, Claymore to Roman Reigns, and that could set up a match for both of them, maybe at the Royal Rumble, or it teases for WrestleMania. Then you know that you could go down that path if they want to explore it, and they got the transfer window stuff and trades going on too. And then the main event, you got CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. That promo they did on Raw was awesome. That sold me on it. I felt like it was doing good. The story and everything was doing very well, but that promo between the two of them was what I wanted to see. I want to see them get aggressive, talk a lot of trash, try to shoot on each other, make it look like it. I thought it delivered exactly. It was like one of the best promos of the year. And yeah, I thought it was awesome. This match should main event. It's had the most push and build behind it for so long. Yes, you could argue that it's going to be Roman and Solo, but I just don't feel like it is as big of a deal of what they want to push on Raw. I think Punk and Seth is great to push. The question mark is just how it finishes. I think it'll be great to see this on Raw. It'll be CM Punk's first match on Raw since before he left, and I can't wait for it. And I think it'll be 20-25 minutes of telling a huge story in the ring. The question is the ending is, what do you do? Do you have Seth beat Punk clean? Probably not. I don't know if either guy beats the other person all that clean, because depending on how this match goes, because that promo was great and they probably want to extend this feud a little bit longer. I do think that at the end of it, you want CM Punk to win. I could totally make an argument and say that it's going to be Seth Rollins, that he should pick up the win, because then it extends their story. If Punk beats Seth, then in theory, Punk's like, I'm done with you and I'm moving on to title and you go do something else. But that has also been Punk's kind of story with all this was, I don't even need to deal with you. You're not in my league. You only had the world title and that's what I wanted, so I don't have no reason to talk to you and fight you. But they built it and here we are. Probably be more interesting. You have Punk win. Again, it's the debut episode on Netflix. I think you want to end on this big positive. So you have CM Punk, the one with his hand raised at the very end of Raw, as Raw goes off the Netflix. However, it's what it sets up next. So with Punk's win, it could do a couple of things. It could justify him to go get a world title match at the Royal Rumble against Gunther. And like we said earlier, that match has been playing out at live events. So maybe they're going to set that up because Punk can show up the following week, be like, I beat Seth. Guess what? Now I'm clear number one contender. I'm going after Gunther. And then boom, they get their one-on-one match at the Rumble. And potentially Punk wins the world title at the Royal Rumble against Gunther. And then does that mean that maybe Seth wins the Royal Rumble or he wins at Elimination Chamber to then get to CM Punk one more time? If Punk is not doing a title match and it's just going clear cut, he's going for the Royal Rumble, then it could be a situation where Seth needs to get revenge and he's in the Rumble and his whole motivation is to eliminate Punk to stop him. So then Punk gets eliminated by Seth and that can then set up their match for WrestleMania. Could they get the title before that? Yeah, Punk could win it at Elimination Chamber in a chamber match if they want to go in that direction. But it'll be very interesting. I think it's going to be a long series and I think this could be the match at WrestleMania. But again, because of The Rock showing up, not showing up, or being involved, I think they do have a lot of different pieces in place for whoever wins the Rumble, whatever the outcome's going to be for all of it. Other matches and moments that are likely to happen or could happen, like I said earlier, Becky and Charlotte could show up. I think Charlotte goes for Tiffany though, and I do think maybe Becky does show up, or they want to save her as a surprise for the Royal Rumble. The other big one is going to be Pentagon Jr. I think Penta shows up, he has his debut match, and it will be the tag team match. It'll be the New Day versus Rhea and Pentagon. Now, I don't want Pentagon Jr. to put on an LWO shirt and then he's part of LWO. I don't want that. But what I could see them doing, and poor Dragon Lee, but I do think that what they could do is have New Day takes out the rest of LWO, or at least takes out Dragon Lee, which has happened to him already. He lost his spot at WrestleMania. But LWO gets taken out, Rhea finds them all just mashed up, and it's actually going to be the New Day, or what they could do, as I'm thinking about this right now, so you could have LWO get taken out, Rhea assumes that it was the New Day, and it could have been, and then that brings in Pentagon Jr., they do a big intro, it's all dark and spooky and all of that, and you get a tag team match between them so he can show off what he can do. It's a good matchup with Rhea, but you know what would be interesting though, is if they do that tag team match against the New Day, they obviously get the win, you want Pentagon Jr. to get the big victory in his debut, but then down the road, you could reveal it that it was Penta who took out the LWO and he did it just to get to Rey Mysterio to then set up a one-on-one match for Penta versus Rey at WrestleMania. There's a lot happening on this episode of Raw, and there's a lot happening in 2025. So if you want to talk about predictions, who's going to have like breakout 2025s and storylines and what's going to happen, click this video right here and have yourself a great day. See ya.